Right. Let me skip this part. So yes, in this chapter 10, we were talking about this part, x1 bar minus x2 bar, because we were talking about two population or two samples. Okay. The real deal is, I mean, in statistic, the real use of this is not exactly this one. It is about joint distribution. This is based on joint distributions. Two, the minimum is two or more. If we have two or more distributions, how we deal with these kind of distributions together. Based on that, we have a small piece. This one, in this case, we were discussing about x1 distribution of x1 bar minus x2 bar. Okay. Okay, let me remind you a few things. So yes, if we have doing hypothesis testing, these steps are same as the previous cases. Only different is you should know what is the H naught and HA based on your chapter 10, and also your test statistic. Those are the, I think, main differences what we have done. We have these three cases, right? These three cases for the hypothesis testing. Right. So actually this is not x1 minus x2. This is about distribution of x1 bar minus x2 bar. This is about means of the means of the distribution means. Okay, so that's why we have x bars. If we have two normal distributions or two normal populations, we can find the distribution of x1 bar minus x2 bar. It's also a normal distribution, definitely, with mean this one and standard deviation this one. Okay, so if we have a two normal population, two normal populations or large enough two samples, their distribution is, its distribution together is this. Again, normal, mean mu, which is mu1 minus mu2, and standard deviation, whatever in this under this square root. Okay. Okay. So as I mentioned, these are the hypothesis testings or hypothesis test based on based on two tail or one tail. Okay. See, it doesn't matter which way you define it, this way or this way, that's fine. They are same. Okay, you can write it like mu1 minus mu2 equals 0 or mu1 equals mu2. That's totally fine. Okay. Or you can, if you want, you can swap these two or mix these two. That's fine. Anyway, you should don't forget to mention both of them. Okay. Sometime in your, although you have multiple choice questions, you will be having this kind of answers, H0, HA, something like that. So you need to pick the correct one based on what they ask. Okay, what the section based on. So don't forget, always we have less than or greater than, strictly less than or greater than for the alternative hypothesis. Okay. Okay, let me skip this. Since I'm doing a few examples, I'm going to skip this. Okay, let's do just one simple example. Okay, check this example too. Right. Television commercials are becoming increasingly important and prevalent of presidential election hypothesis. Okay, hypothesis test was conducted to see whether, on average, the loser's TV commercial rhetoric was more frequent on terms that were self-related. Okay, than that of the winner's commercial. Oh, see, than that of the winners commercial. So right hand side you have your mu naught or that mu, the given mu. Okay, left hand side always you have mu. So variables are number of selected rhetoric used in commercials. Okay, this is about increasing important. Okay, this is about something losers and winners. Two television commercials, losers and winners. So what are the two populations? Populations are losers and winners. See, right hand side you can find the winners. Left hand side of this keyword you can find the not up to this part, you can find the losers. Okay, so hypothesis test based on H1 H0 and HA. Mu L is about losers, mean of the losers, and mu W means mean of the winners. So this should be based on, since this is than which means this part than winners, so it's going to be right tail test, because losers is about losers greater than winners, something like that. Okay, so it's right tail test. That's how you classify hypothesis testing. Okay, there are no calculations you need to do. You just need to identify how we split these questions into pieces. Right, this is, I need to show you if you are using pool test, pool t-test, not pool test, to pool t-test, which means you are dealing with pooled standard deviation. Okay, if you are dealing with pool standard deviation, then we call it pool t-test. Okay, that's about section 10.2. Okay, so if you are not dealing with pooled standard deviation, okay, which means whatever we discussed in section 10.3, we called it non-pool t-test. I think I didn't mention that word before. So whatever we discussed in section 10.3 is about, we call non-pool t-test. Okay, because we don't use pooled standard deviation. That's why we call it non-pool t-test. Okay, that's the general word that we use. I think you can see it here. That's why I want to show it to you. See, if we assume sigma 1 equals sigma 2, which means section 10.2, okay, we use pooled t-test using this. See, this SP is the pooled standard deviation. Since we are using pooled standard deviation, we call this kind of test in section 10.2 pooled t-test or pooled t interval, something like this. Yes, it is pooled, although it is using the hypothesis testing or confidence interval, CIs. Okay, see, this is how we replace sigma using SP. But in section let me go section, see, section 10.3, we didn't use pooled standard deviation. Instead of, we use another version of degrees of freedom, right? This giant formula to calculate the degree of freedom. We use S1 and S2. Okay, sample standard deviations. So we didn't have any pooled stuff. That's why this part we, in general, we call non-pool t-test or non-pooled. So if you see these two keywords, pooled t-test or pool test, something like that, or non-pooled t-test, non-pooled test, something like that. Based on that, you should be able to classify whether this is a section 10.2 or this is section 10.3. Those are the keywords. Okay, because sometimes they haven't mentioned anything about standard deviations are equal or not. Okay, so using these but these keyword should be there. If you see this keyword, try to differentiate your question based on 10.2 or 10.3. Okay, pooled or non-pooled. Clear? If it is non-pooled, the difference is degrees of freedom. To calculate the degrees of freedom, you should use this giant formula. Okay, and also replace S1 and S2. There is one more thing that I need to show you, but I think I have a question for that. Let's go through the questions then. Okay. All other stuff I think pretty similar to pool cases, but try to understand whether that is the, I mean, once you are reading the question, try to differentiate that whether by using these two keywords, whether it is a pool test or non-pool test. Okay, that's really important. Right. Now let me go through the questions. I think I shared this one. Give me a second. Yes, I shared this screen. I think it is clear because these are some kind of screenshots, so I'm not sure it is clear or not. But this is about two populations. Okay, these are two population stuff, which means chapter 10 something. See, use the non-pool t-test. This is what I was talking about. Non-pool t-test, which means section what? 10.3. Okay, 10.3, because it is non-pool t-test. Perform left-tailed. They have given everything. Hypothesis test using significant level alpha this much. Values are given. Summary statistical. Perform a left tail hypothesis testing. Okay, we need to perform that. This is, I think, this is a past exam question, maybe 2017. I think. Okay, I'm not sure because there is some kind of short answer question. Okay, so okay, alpha given, x1 bar, x2 bar given, s1, n1 given. So everything is given. Okay, since you have s1, s2, you know what to do, right? This is about non-pool t-test. Oh, t-test. Okay. So first, what are the hypotheses? I mean, your null and alternative hypothesis. Okay, whatever, it doesn't matter. This is about two left there. Okay, so you can write your H naught, which is mu x1 bar, right, equals mu x2 bar, right? That's your null versus your alternative hypothesis HA, or you can write simple A instead of capital A. That's totally fine. Mu x1 bar left tail less than mu x2 bar. Is that clear? Right. Next, you have to find the alpha. Alpha is given, so no problem with that. Go to the since this is one tail, find the T alpha, not alpha over 2, and degrees of freedom. To find the degrees of freedom, you have to use that giant formula. Even I don't remember the formula. Okay, that's minus. Use the formula. Okay, I'll write it. Use the formula. Okay, use the formula. It is that giant one. Okay, I don't. Let me check whether I have. Yeah, I have it. Not the formula. I have something like some kind of calculations. Not this one. So let me. S1 squared over N1 divide by 18.3, which means S1. Divide by N1. plus S2 squared divided by into so please be careful when you are plugging these values. Okay, I believe this is correct. N2. Sorry, this is not N1, this is N2. Okay, this is the formula. I guess I think is right. Anyway, using this formula, you should be able to find the degrees of freedom. Okay, DF, and go to the T table and find T alpha is 0.05 and this degree of freedom to get the T value. That value definitely what? Definitely a negative value. Why? Because of this. Okay, because it is less than, this should be negative T value. Okay, right? Now now you can calculate test statistic. Sorry, test statistic, let's say tcal. Right, since we are considering under H0, these two are equal, so x1 bar minus x2 bar divided by plus S2 squared over N2. Okay, using this you can calculate your T cap. Okay, after that, as I mentioned, use critical value approach. Use critical value, which means this one. Your critical value is this one. If Tcal this is less than, which means Tcal less than negative T 0.05 degrees of freedom, then reject H0. Otherwise, do not reject H0. Clear? This is the same thing what we discussed, right? Okay. Yes, sometime, I mean, not sometime. If you have questions from chapter 10 or 11, maybe chapter 9, questions can be like this. Okay, you will be having this kind of information set on top, and then you have those 4 or 5 answers. Okay, those answers have mentioned your null and alternative hypothesis, comma, whether you reject it or do not reject it. Okay, so to find the answer, you have to go through this process, although it is a multiple choice question. Okay, that's the nature of those kind of multiple choice questions. Okay, but answers are given, maybe 4 or 5, I think 4. You have to find the exact answer by doing this kind of calculations. Okay, you cannot avoid that. Yeah, right. 37 means this question. I think we don't need to go through this, right? Non-pool, yes, this is about non-pool, still non-pool. So confidence interval. So what's the formula for the confidence intervals? It is, I'll just write the confidence interval formula. Okay, 95% CI you can find using x1 bar minus x2 bar plus or minus T 0.05 df and 1 over, I think this is non-pooled, so S1 squared plus S2 squared. I think this one, N1, N2 square root. I think, if I remember correct, this should be the CI. Okay, so plug the values, simply find the CI. Okay, so same as the previous one. Although it is a multiple choice question, you have to go through this process and find the answer. Okay, clear? Okay. For this question, if you want, I have the answer for that one. Answer for this one is -3. Later I will share this PowerPoint with you. I mean, I'll convert it to PDF and send it to you. Not send it to you. I'll upload on the Blackboard. Okay, that's the easiest way. But answers will not be there. So if you want, you can write down the answers. Okay, just practice with these questions. For the previous one, I have the answer. It is yes, as I mentioned, this is how it has given. It's also a multiple choice question. There are 4 answers. The correct answer is test statistic t equals negative. So this one negative 3.334, comma critical value. Okay, critical value. Sorry, this one. Okay, and the critical value, this one negative 1.753. Okay, comma your addition. Addition is reject test node, right? Because you can see -3 less than -1, so definitely you had to reject. Okay, yeah, that's how the answers are given. Some answers are do not reject, some are reject, so this is the correct answer. So as I mentioned, you have to go through these calculations. Okay, right. Okay, this is really easy. Sample proportion, this is chapter 11. So how do you calculate the p hat? It is number of success divided by total, or n. So here x, or you can rewrite it x over n. Here 17, x equals 17 and n equals 200. So you can get the answer. Okay. Okay, what do you think about this one? There are no calculations you need to do. You just need to give the answer, because this is, I guess, this is also a multiple choice question. Answers are not appropriate or appropriate. Only 2 choices. So what do you think? I think yes, there are a few things I need to. Oh no, not this one. Yeah. So what is the answer? Appropriate or inappropriate? Appropriate. Why? Yes, that's true. But what you need to check, you don't need to check.
Oh, sorry. One line.
Assumptions, those 2 assumptions, this based on population proportions. Remember? So those 2 assumptions, n times p hat greater than or equal 5 and n times 1 minus p hat greater than or equal 5. You have to just check these 2. If it is yes, then you can use this one proportion C interval procedure, or Z interval, not C interval, C hypothesis test procedure, whatever. Okay, remember? So in this case, you can calculate p hat using this. So p hat equals 79 over 250. So n times p, n is 250 times p hat is 79 over 250, definitely greater than 5. And next one also 250 times 1 minus 79 over 250. So I can see this 250 cancel out. So this is true, then yes, appropriate. Let me find, there is a specific one that I need to. Okay, it's not there. We didn't talk about that, but It's not actually, it's not in the note as well, but in general, this kind of thing can be happen. Uh, Without a question, it's really hard to explain. Okay, I'll explain it next time, that part, because I think it's important. I don't know we have that kind of question or not. I didn't see yet, but in general, I think you need to know that, because it's kind of something we just consider based on the normal population. So yeah, I'll discuss it later. Okay, let me put a note. Okay. Uh, yes, this is about population proportion. You can calculate p hat using these two. Okay, 130 out of 410 p hat. Margin of error. How do you calculate the margin of error? Capital E equals, I don't have the equation. Do you remember that equation? P times 1 minus p hat. I don't remember. It should be p times 1 minus p hat. Times, this is z test.
Z alpha over 2 square p hat times 1 minus p hat
Over E, right?
for n.
Over N. So where is E?
Well, that equals b, right?
Sorry?
That equals b.
Ah, yeah.
Oh, I see. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry, it is about margin of error. Yeah. Sorry, I thought that I was confusing that we need to find the sample size and that one. Yeah. So this is not right? This one?
Yeah.
It should be this one. Yes. Thank you. N. Yes. So this is the equation. So simply find those values. You can find p hat using this. N is given. It is 410. C alpha is 10%, which means 0.1. Okay, so Z alpha over 2 is 0. Just plug the values and find the error, margin of error. Okay, based on that, let me check. Margin of error 52. It is 0.0378. I have on the answers. So this is the E. Okay. Right. I think this one should be able to. Okay, for the last time, what do you think about this one? Appropriate or inappropriate? Number of successes and the sample size are given. X and N is given. Okay. So yes, again what? You have to check those two conditions. Okay. Based on that, this is appropriate. Okay. This is appropriate based on conditions. Okay. Clear? Based on NP hat greater than or 5 and N1 minus P hat greater than or equal 5. Right? Yes, this one is also that kind of question. It's a multiple choice question. 4 answers are given. You have to first calculate and find your what hypothesis test. You have to perform the hypothesis test and find the correct answer. I mean, pick the correct answer. Right. What are these? Oh, this one I was talking about. Yes, there is a question for that. Preliminary data analysis indicate that variable under condition normal. Okay, variable is normally distributed. Okay, here variable is normally distributed on each population. Decide whether use pool t-test or non-pool, pool t-test or pool t-interval procedure is reasonable. It doesn't matter interval or t-test, just pool t, consider pool t-test. Is it appropriate or inappropriate? Why we use, I mean, at what time we use pool t-test? When sigma 1 and sigma 2 are equal, right? Okay, at that point we use, and also we don't know this one, unknown. What do you think? S1, S2 are given, N1, N2 are also greater than 30, and also they are from the normal distributed population. So appropriate or inappropriate? What do you think? In this case, yes. Why? I know these two are different, but they are very close. In that case, it's a special case I didn't teach you. Maybe you don't need this kind of stuff, but remember that if let me check the time. Okay, let me do it quick. If your S1, S2 are very close, okay, very close. See here, 51.2 and 53.5. If they are very close, and you have populations from those populations are normally distributed, then we can use this. I mean, although they are different a little bit, still we can use this. Okay, that's the thing I need to let you know, that sometimes we use this kind of stuff. Okay, yes, they are not equal, but they are very close, and also they are originate, which means their populations are normally distributed. That's the important thing. If their population is normally distributed, then yes. Okay. No, they should be very close, like 1 or 2, something like that. Okay. I don't think, yes, I don't think you will get this kind of question, but for your knowledge, please. Okay, that's all I have, I think. Yes. So let's. Okay, I'll do the review. If you have any questions, please bring in the class. Okay. Okay, I'll see you next day.